And we are back on Sportsman Radio. I'm your host, Chris Shanfelt, and I am now joined by former NFL defensive end who spent some time with my Chicago Bears, Seattle Seahawks, and the Arizona Cardinals. He is Joe Tafoya. How's it going, Joe?
Hey, Chris. Doing well, man.
Sounds good.
Day in the NFL, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, man. It has been a crazy day. I don't know if you're familiar with the show Waddle and Sylvie, but today they had their Jay Cutler show, and I actually went out and seen them do it. And in the middle of the show, Jay Cutler was there, and that's when he found out that head coach Lovie Smith was fired.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Imagine all the transition that's going on the 7 different teams where the head coach has been fired right now. It's just there's this massive transition going on in the NFL right now. I can't imagine being part of it right now.
Yeah, man. You said 7 head coaches and I believe 5 general managers.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Amazing.
Well, let's get into the interview, Joe. You were drafted in the 7th round in the 2001 NFL Draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How was that moment for you, just being drafted?
You know, it was a combination of things. I had an injury at the time, and my agent and I both thought that I would be drafted much higher, so I was a little disappointed there, but just the idea of playing in the NFL had always been a dream of mine. So when Tony Dungy from the Bucs called me and said, "Are you ready to be a Buccaneer?" I was pretty excited and filled with all kinds of different emotions and feelings about the whole thing. But yeah, what a journey.
Yeah, you suffered an ankle injury, I believe, in the preseason, and you were then released by the Bucs and picked up off of waivers by the Bears. Were you surprised that you were released from a team that drafted you? Were you surprised that you were released so quickly?
You're a little naive when you come out of college, and college is more of a team environment. You never worry about losing your position on the team in college, and so when you get into the NFL, you recognize right away that it's a business. Mm-hmm. And some of the older guys, when I injured myself, some of the older guys were kind of saying, you know, hey, do this, do that. Talk to my agent and said, make sure you take care of this and that. And some of the things kind of went over my head, and I wasn't really fully paying attention to, you know, staying healthy, making sure that I wasn't practicing while I was injured, because you don't want to put any bad game film out there. But I think I was more disappointed than anything else, because here I was, the 7th round draft pick, got a chance to go and play in my first preseason game. I got hurt right away, and I thought my career was over with, and so did my agent, to be honest.
Did being traded in your rookie year affect the way you played at all?
No, not really. I think what affected my play was being in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a different style, or had a different style of defense back then, and it was, you play the run on the way to the pass. So they were all about pass rush. I played with Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice, and so we never played the run. The run came secondary. But when I got to Chicago, it was different. We had Brian Urlacher was in the middle. I played with Ted Washington, Keith Traylor, Philip Daniels. These are massive, massive guys. Mm-hmm. So when I got there, it was all about, you know, plugging holes and playing the run. So I had to put a bunch of weight on and, you know, kind of change my position around, change my methodology, all the things that I had learned in Tampa Bay training camp about rushing the passer didn't really transition over.
Yeah, Tampa Bay, they had a few nice pieces over there, and with the Bears being known for their defense, were you excited about joining this organization, being a defensive player yourself?
Yeah, totally. I got to Hallis Hall, and it was, you know, like walking into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You look around, and there's just so much history and legacy there, and I was ecstatic to be a part of it. Head coach at the time, his name was Dick Geron.
Yep.
And my defensive coordinator was Greg Blosh. He pulled me aside and told me what they were expecting of me. And I was still a rookie. And so, but nobody knew that coming in, thank goodness. Because they just picked me up off of the street. Nobody really knew who I was. And the older guys didn't really treat me like a rookie. But
Now, when you say the older guys didn't treat you like a rookie, is that a good thing?
Yeah, it is like a good thing. Ted Washington was, when Peanut Tillman was drafted, he came in, and Peanut Tillman was a phenomenal player, and he always has been. But when he came in with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And he showed it during practice, he showed it in the locker room. Ted Washington grabbed him, threw him in a laundry bin, put a bunch of ice and water in there, and told him he was going to push him around the locker room, and Peanut Tillman was to make motorboating sounds. So he was running him in the locker, and I saw that, and I said, oh, thank God I didn't have to do any of that.
That's great. That's great. The Chicago Bears finished the 2001 NFL season 13-3. You guys fell short in the playoffs against the Eagles, 33-19. Can you tell us about that 2001 NFL season for you?
Yeah. You get on a team and you recognize right away that there's something special about it. And it has more to do with the team atmosphere, the team environment in the locker room. And that was a really, really solid group of guys that all really cared about football, they cared about each other, and they cared about the organization. So when I got there, I was, I didn't really know what to expect, but I definitely didn't expect that. And then you start winning a few games, and then you believe, you just start believing, and everybody else around you believes that no matter what's going on, you're just going to win. So we ended up going 13-3, ended up playing Donovan McNabb in the playoffs, in the championship game, the NFC championship game, and we lost.
Mm-hmm.
But the next year we went 3-13, and it was a much different feeling, much different vibe. So, and then I've been on plenty of teams, I've been on plenty of winning and losing teams. You don't realize what you have until it's gone. Kind of cliche, but you don't. In the locker room, you realize that there's this amazing group of guys, and because the NFL is the NFL, the team will never ever be exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it's changing, it's free agents and rookies and new coaches, and just like all the transition that's going on right now, you lose that team dynamic, and unfortunately, when that goes, it's gone for good.
Yeah, you said it. You said that you guys ended the season 13-3 in 2001. Next season, you guys went 3-13, and then the season after that, which was your last season with the Bears, you guys finished, I believe, 7-9. Joe, why do you think you guys were able to be contenders in that 2001 season, and then go 3-13 the next season? Was it just because you guys lost some pieces, pretty much like what's going on today?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's exactly what it was. We had a really strong team chemistry, and when that starts to get broken up, you bring in other people and coaches and staff, and it changes things. And then you have to kind of start all over from the beginning. When there's a massive change and nobody really knows each other, that can sometimes be really good or really bad. Like when Pete Carroll first came over to the Seahawks, he made 200 and something roster moves right away, and he was in there just kind of mixing things up, and it didn't turn out all that great. But there have been teams that have been successful doing that. Unfortunately, with Chicago being Chicago and having the strong fan base, there was a lot of criticism being thrown around. Dick Duran was 3-13. 1 year after he was 13-3, and they were already talking about getting rid of him. It's just, what have you done for me lately?
Right.
That's the NFL though.
Yeah, you said your head coach was Dick Duran at the time. What kind of coach was Duran, and do you see any similarities between Duran and former Bears coach Lovie Smith?
Other than the fact that they were both Bears coaches, not really. They had a much different style. Dick Duran, he was the type of guy that kind of stepped back and let his staff do everything, and he was much more of an oversight type of a coach. And Lovie Smith came in and he started taking action right away. At least when I was there, Lovie Smith released me from the team, so I had a chance to get to know them a little bit. But in my opinion, Lovie Smith was a little more hands-on.
And I believe you did not play your 2004 season. Did you have any thoughts that your NFL season was your NFL career was going to be over? Because I hear that once you're out of the game for at least a year or more, it's tough to get back in. Is that right?
It is, because there's this new influx of younger, faster, stronger, and cheaper guys that comes around, and the older guys that are kind of mid to lower tier, like I was, special teams guys, just kind of fall by the wayside. But my career, my life, me in general, I've always been somewhat of a fighter, and like the salmon that swims upstream against all odds. You just have to believe in yourself when nobody else does. I spent that entire year flying around the country to all these different teams, trying out for them, like this big traveling circus that most NFL fans and even some analysts don't really know much about. You get called in by an organization when you're out on the street, and you are asked to do a private workout for the team. I'd say that each team in the NFL probably brings in about 3 guys every week, and they do a series of drills with you. It's kind of like when you're going through the scouting combine and make you run the 40-yard dash. And, they're evaluating you for health, fitness, skill, intelligence, and then at the end of it, it's very rare that anybody ever gets signed, but they now have their staff knows who you are in case anything were to happen. They can pick you up off of the streets. And I spent the year. I went to 8 different teams that year, trying out 8 different teams, and it's really, you can't get on with your life. You get a phone call from somebody, and of course you don't want to turn it down. The Browns call you, and you have to fly out to Ohio and stay the night in some crappy hotel, eat crappy food, go in and work out the next morning for the team, hope to make it, but usually you don't. And then you fly home and you try and, I was trying to get a job as an athletic trainer, but every time the weekend came around, I was gone. I had to go in for the Monday, Tuesday workout, and you can't actually have a job doing that, but you can't. I didn't want to turn down this whole piece of my life that I had spent the last 17, 18 years building. And I went and did a workout for Seattle, and Seattle actually brought me back in the off season, and I ended up with that team, and we went to the Super Bowl the next year.
Yes, you did. And actually, before we start talking about your time with the Seahawks, I have a quick, little fun question about the Bears. There's only one player that was on that 2001 Bears team that is on the team today. You think you could name him? Oh, yeah, okay, wow. You know what? I'm sorry then. I must have not done my research good enough. I know there's not a lot of good players on. I know there's not a lot of players on that team. I was thinking Patrick Manley, who was drafted by the Bears in 1998.
Didn't he just sign a new 1-year contract?
Yep, he did. Just about last week.
Congratulations, man! What a job that is, huh? You just snap the ball between your legs.
Yeah.
Played 15, 16 years.
Yep.
Good for him.
How much longer do you think he has?
What's that?
How much longer do you think he has in the game? He's been in it for a while, man, and he's still playing. He's still playing pretty well.
That's a specialty position, and it's one of those things where you don't realize how much it's needed until somebody screws it up.
Yeah.
So you don't really hear much or see much about Pat because he's doing a great job in there. If he were to be screwing up, then you hear a lot about him. Mm-hmm. I think he's probably, after this next year, he's probably done.
Hey, can't ask for much more. Yeah, he's been with the Bears since 1998, 6th-round draft pick, and you gotta respect that. But you talked about it. You signed with the Seahawks. They actually brought you back and you signed with them. How was it to sign with the Seahawks? Just after moving around the whole country, like you said.
And it was a relief. It was a relief to be part of an organization and have a chance, and coming in, I got a chance to work out with the team. They put me up. They took good care. The Seahawks are a really good organization as far as how they treat the players. I've been with 4 organizations, and the Seahawks do a good job of when the guys come in, they put them up. I mean, it's nice to have a billionaire owner who's one of the richest people in the world, too. Mm-hmm. But it work out with the team from the beginning. You know, you come in and, March, and you start working out with the team, you get to know them, you build a rapport with the guys, with the coaches, they get to know you, they see your work ethic. And then when it comes to, you know, hanging out, you go hang out with the guys, you know the city. It was a very satisfying feeling to get to go and have a real chance to make the team and then actually make it.
Yeah, your first year with the Seahawks, you guys made it to the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 40 to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Can you tell us about the journey yourself and the Seattle Seahawks had to make and had to go on to make it to the biggest game of the year?
Yeah, again, for me, it always boils down to the chemistry, team chemistry. The locker rooms over in Seattle were really, really small. And it was kind of this intimate setting where you get to know each other and you get to hang out. And that dynamic carries over onto the practice field, the playing field, and ultimately into the success of the organization. And it all starts right there with the team chemistry. I came into that organization, and again, there was just something special about them. You know, we had Sean Alexander and Matt Hasselbeck, Walter Jones, and Steve Hutchinson on the offensive side of the ball. But there were really no big-name guys on the defensive side of the ball. We had a rookie come in, Lofa Tutubu came in and kind of took charge of the defense. But more than anything, we just played as a team. And so the journey for me was, again, you just get into a game late, and all of a sudden, you look around and everybody still has this really positive feeling, positive attitude that they're going to find a way to win. Even in the close ones, we always just find a way to win. Mm-hmm. And the crowning achievement of my career was playing on the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl. I looked up in the air. I saw the ball being kicked, but then that was it. I couldn't see anymore because there were so many flashes going off from everybody taking pictures. And I kind of lost the ball. I lost myself in the moment. I realized that I had lost the guy that I was supposed to be blocking. He went and made the tackle.
Was there anything you guys did different to prepare for that game that you guys usually didn't do?
Well, the whole thing is just a big circus. You do media day. Media day is a few days before the Super Bowl, and it's like a scene from Lord of the Rings. You're down, they put all the players and coaches down on the field, and up in the stands are media from around the world, and they literally blow a whistle, and everybody just starts coming down in hordes from the stands. They come down into the field. At one point, I was looking around me. I had it was a Mexican television station. The guy was holding a Troy Polamalu hand puppet next to my face. He was asking me some questions in Spanish. I had a German TV station. The guy was trying to interview me in German. And then I was standing next to Gilbert Godfrey Jr., who was with his powerful voice asking me questions. And I thought, what the hell is going on? So it's kind of a media circus, media frenzy. You around from place to place. There's very little time to practice. And when you get to practice, nobody's all that focused. Mm-hmm. It was a lot. But I think the only thing we could have done differently was win. Mm-hmm. And some of that even was out of our control.
Yeah, unfortunately, you guys lost that game 21-10. Looking back, how was that experience to play in a game that everyone wants to play in? How was that experience?
You know, looking back, it's, again, one of the proudest moments in my professional career. Something to look for your entire life. Very few people on this earth can say that they've played in a football NFL Super Bowl. At the time, you don't really realize the magnitude of it, but now that I'm out of football and I'm in the community and, you know, everybody recognizes you for being on one of the best teams to ever play in the city. I'm still here in Seattle, by the way.
Nice.
And you start to recognize just how big that event actually was in your life. And it was a big one, but winning it would have been even better. I walk around now, I've got this NFC Championship ring that Paul Allen spent quite a bit of money on.
Yeah, I mean, it was the last time Seattle has been in the Super Bowl. I know it wasn't too long ago, but, I mean, it was the last time they were there, and they do have a shot at it this year. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, but, Joe, after 2 seasons with the Seahawks, you signed with the Arizona Cardinals. How was that? I mean, you were just their division rival with the Seahawks. Did any Cardinals give you a hard time about that?
Yeah, quite a few of them. Mostly the special teams guys, because those are the ones I play against all the time. The special teams coach, he had come over from Pittsburgh along with Ken Wisenhunt, so they all had their rings. They were giving me a hard time. But it's a different organization over there. I don't want to say anything negative about the Arizona Cardinals, but it's definitely a different feeling. Remember the feeling I was telling you I got when I came to the Bears and then to the Seahawks? That's not it over there. They have this division going on where it's divided by the haves and the have-nots, and the locker room is segmented, and that really shows in the way that they take to the practice out in the playing field. And I could never understand why teams, why coaches, management don't pay closer attention to what's going on in the locker room. They kind of just let everybody, if you have a person that's a cancer in the locker room, you have other people that are buying into their method, it's no good for anybody. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of that going on over there. It was just a lot different for me. I didn't really feel like I had a significant opportunity over there. But again, I was happy to be playing, and I went to college in Arizona, so I did have a lot of fans out there. It was a totally different feeling, different setting.
You were released due to a career-ending foot injury. How tough was that?
I think the hardest thing that I've ever had to do was look myself in the mirror and say, that's it. You're done. Because, 20-something years of playing a sport, playing a game, it has an impact on you that you don't realize until you can't play it anymore. Like, what am I going to do with all of these skills and techniques and, understanding of offenses and defenses and, the way it's such a militaristic operation where you're regimented and you have to be at a certain place at a certain time, and what do you do with all that? I didn't know. And looking myself in the mirror after I came out of surgery and asking, am I really going to be able to make a comeback from this? You just got released. That was 8 seasons later, and it's kind of a wake-up call too, because then you start to look around and you're like, well, what can I really do? I don't know what to do. My agent stopped calling me. No teams were calling, and the team that just released me was on their way to the Super Bowl.
Right. How did this injury happen? How did this injury happen?
Just in a normal, routine workout that we were doing. I was going over some bags, and I turned one way, and my foot didn't come with me. I tore some ligaments and broke a bone. And when the doctor got in there, he said that I already had a fracture in there. I didn't know about it. I knew I wasn't feeling good in my foot, but it's just kind of normal, grind it out when you're injured. And apparently it was a little more significant than I thought. And so when I went to turn, the bone couldn't hold up, and it snapped and tore some ligaments. And then I came out of surgery, and the doctor was like, how old are you? Yeah, this might be it for you, because I don't know if you're going to be able to come back from this type of injury. It was called a Liz Frank injury. And Liz Frank is a famous doctor from the Napoleon era who would fix guys that fell out of their saddle and their foot would still be in it and they would break sideways. Yeah. And the doctor told me, he said, usually this is the kind of injury we see from high-impact collisions, like people that are jumping off of a bridge and land on their feet, or jump from a high place and land on their feet. But it was just, it just happens,
You didn't jump off of any bridges, did you? You didn't jump off of any bridges, did you, Joe?
No.
You guys are listening to Sportsman Radio. I'm your host, Chris Schanfelt, talking with former NFL defensive end Joe Tafoya. All right, Joe, let's flip the switch and talk a little bit about my Chicago Bears. They started the season off at 7-1 and have now ended the season at 10-6 with a win yesterday in Detroit. They were knocked out of the playoff conversation because the Vikings actually got a win in against Green Bay in Minnesota. Aside from this offensive line, because we all know it's been struggling for years now, what are some things you think the Bears should work on?
The hard part for me is I'm watching really good football players get older. Mm-hmm. And I played with Urlacher. I went to college with Lance Berries, and I know him very well. They got some young talent across the defensive line, but I'm not sure that it's enough. I think they should maybe try and secure up one more run stopper in the middle. I think they should start looking at, a very high or top draft pick to come in who's athletic and play that middle linebacker position. I think they're going to have to retool the entire offensive line. There's no doubt about that. But I think on defense, you start at the defensive line as well. Let's start there and let's bring in some young, fast linebackers that are rangy and can cover tight ends. And, the tight end position in the NFL is changing. Mm-hmm. They're big, strong, fast guys that run deep, get the ball. Gronkowski, the kid Davis from San Francisco. That position's changed, and you need to have guys that can cover them, or else you're going to be exposed.
What do you think the future of Brian Urlacher with the Bears looks like? I mean, they fired Lovie Smith today. He's come out and said that he didn't want to play for another head coach in Lovie Smith, but he would he would like to stay in Chicago. He said he just finds it hard to being coached by another head coach. What do you think the future looks like for Brian Urlacher here in Chicago?
Brian Urlacher is a Hall of Famer, and any coach would be lucky to have him. Be lucky to have him as even just a figurehead. We all see that he's slowing down a little bit, but he can still play. And when you have somebody that has that amount of knowledge and that level of respect from the entire football community, let alone the Chicago community, you have to make a tough choice. He's not somebody that a coach can just come in and say, we're going to get rid of this guy. No, you have to plan for that. You have to figure out how, if you're going to let Brian Urlacher move on, it's kind of like when the 49ers let Joe Montana or Steve Young or Jerry Rice go. You have to plan it. And they may go off somewhere else. They'll maybe have 1 or 2 more years. But he's in the twilight of his career. He's had a magnificent run at it. If he's making comments like he's not sure how he's going to play for another team, another coach, those are all signs that are pointing towards retirement. Only time can tell, though. As an NFL player, you consider yourself a gladiator, a warrior. You don't want to do anything else. Brian probably doesn't have to do anything else. He always has that legacy. But overall, I think that Brian is in a really good position no matter what happens. Yeah. You have to come in, and the first person you need to talk to in that locker room is him.
Yeah, just having him on the team alone, just having that name Urlacher on your team, I think many teams would like that. Do you agree with the firing of Lovie Smith after this 10-6 season, missing the playoffs 5 out of the last 6 seasons? Do you agree with it?
I don't agree with it at all, because you start to look around the NFL and where are you going to go? Who are you going to get? There's not that deep of a coaching pool at this point to choose from. And now the competition to get a head coach in there with, 7 other coaches and GMs being fired. Everybody's looking for, and there's only a few top candidates. Now, if the Bears have a strategy in mind, where they know their man and they know who they're going after, then, let us in on it. Tell us what's going on. Don't just leave us up in the air. I know Phil Emery. I've sat down with him. We've had long conversations. He's a good person. And I don't think he is the type of person that wouldn't have a strategy. I don't think he's the type of person that wouldn't have a plan. He's very methodical, very well thought out, and I think he's going to have to really step up and take ownership of whatever comes next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Chicago Bears in the offseason. It really is. Now, off to your Seattle Seahawks. I think a lot of people are shocked that they have been playing this way with a rookie quarterback in Russell Wilson. Their defense has been the best in the league, in my opinion. What about them Seahawks, Joe?
I think somebody needs to congratulate the GM over there. John Schneider has done a fantastic job. He and his staff have found some hidden gems. They found a linebacker named Bobby Wagner out of Utah State that nobody was even looking at. They found a guy named Bruce Irving and picked him with a chance pick in the first round, who's really come on, and I don't know how many sacks he has, but he's been a force in there. I didn't realize nobody knew what the hell Pete Carroll was doing. He's bringing in all these young guys. They're changing defenses. They're changing offensive schemes. He changes out. They go out and they pay a bunch of money for this quarterback and then sit him and play a third-round rookie. What the hell's going on? Right. Beginning of the season, we had Terrell Owens and Braylon Edwards in there playing for a position. I thought maybe Ocho Cinco would come over. You start to think, holy crap, what is this? We're not in Los Angeles. We're not in New York. Right. We're up here in Washington. Nobody pays attention to the Pacific Northwest. Nike signed a big contract with the Seahawks. They changed their uniforms around. I mean, there has been some significant change in this organization ever since Holmgren left. And now it's starting to bear fruit. I mean, you have guys like Cam Chancellor, who was, I think he was a third-round pick. He's just one of the meanest, nastiest hitters in the NFL. Deep in the secondary, you don't want him. He put Vernon Davis out of the game. They've got some really young, good players that just don't know any better. And they've got this rah-rah head coach that they're kind of familiar with and can really understand. The organization, again, they've gotten behind the whole method. Schneider, Pete Carroll, down to Ken Norton Jr., who's their linebacker coach. They've all done a phenomenal job. So I think everyone else is shocked. The people inside of the organization must have known what was going on, but nobody else did. Even the fans were all. I was at the game on Sunday, and everybody's kind of like, wow, I can't believe it. It's sort of like 2005 again. Mm-hmm. It's exciting.
Yeah, and the Seahawks have a cornerback named Richard Sherman, who has really played big this season. He just won his appeal. He will not be suspended for 4 games. People thought he was using performance-enhancing drugs. That was not the case. What are your thoughts on Richard Sherman being snubbed from the Pro Bowl? There's no doubt he should have been there. No doubt.
I don't know. The Pro Bowl for me is more of a beauty contest. You go to, how many guys from the Chiefs made the Pro Bowl?
I think 5.
Yeah, and look what they're doing. Yeah. Most guys, they consider it an honor, but they would much rather be in the playoffs than on the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
I was with Cam Chancellor last night. I think he should have made the Pro Bowl, but he didn't even mention it. Mm-hmm. I talked to Lance Briggs the other day, and he's made plenty of Pro Bowls. Nobody really thinks that much of the Pro Bowl anymore. So, it's also become a little bit of a popularity contest. And it's, hey, over the last couple of years, you played really well, so you deserve
Yeah, messed up my Bears. Messed up my Bears.
Well, yeah. I don't think it means much anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just wondering because I know many people. In my opinion, I think players want to get there at least once. I know Richard Sherman made a tweet on Twitter yesterday. I think he said something about Michael Crabtree had over 100 yards. Who was guarding him? And I think he was pointing that out to Patrick Peterson, who I think took his place in the Pro Bowl. But anyways, the Seahawks play the Redskins on Saturday, first round of the playoffs. What are your thoughts on that game?
It scares me. As a Seahawks fan, it scares me a little bit because you're going to a really sloppy field, and the Seahawks have really built their team around speed. When that starts to get messed around with, one of the reasons why we're really good at home is because it's a fast track, and you get up there, and I was looking at the field yesterday, and like, wow, it looks like crap. Are they an NFL team? Get somebody in there and fix that. What are they letting the Junior Football League's game play on that too? The band comes in.
Can't be worse than Soldier Field. Can't be worse than Soldier Field, was it?
I don't know. RG3 is an amazing player, and that whole city is buzzing right now.
Yeah.
Same way that Seattle's buzzing. They got something special going on. He and that sixth-round draft pick running back who had, 200 yards yesterday.
Yep.
It scares me because they're very, very similar teams, and their defense gets after the ball. I think that game will be decided very early on. If Washington can put a running game together and start opening up their offense and let, they do that option package with RG3, that's a hard thing. You don't even know where the ball's going half the time. You look around and it's like magic.
Yeah.
Where did it go? All of a sudden the other guy's got it. He's running down the field. Watch out for the Seahawks, though. They're building on something special, too, and if Russell Wilson can stay away from turning the ball over, I think it could be a very, very exciting game.
Yeah, I'm not sure who to pick in that game. I mean, I think it's safe to say these are the two hottest teams in the NFL right now. It's going to be a really good game, though, I got to say.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to it, man.
And last but not least, Joe, the Arizona Cardinals, they started the season so well at 4-0. Not many people thought they were real, and, I mean, they weren't. They went on to lose 9 in a row. They now stand at 5-11. I love this Cardinals defense, but that offense has struggled all season long, and they really just need a quarterback, some help on that offensive line, and maybe, just maybe, a running back, because who knows if Ryan Williams is their future or not, since he couldn't finish the season due to an injury. Arizona has a lot of good pieces, in my opinion, and I think they just need to solve those problems, and they could be a team to talk about in the NFL. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, they got a lot of problems over there, man. There's a lot of problems. They need a new GM now. Braves gone to.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
There's going to be a changing of the guard over there. I hope that somebody, I got love for the Arizona Cardinals. I hope that somebody comes in and can completely turn things around. Turn them upside down, turn them on their head. Give them a reason to believe that they can be good. They do have some talent over there. I was speaking with Fitzgerald a few days ago, and I said, "What's the feeling, man?" He's like, "Man, Joe, I don't know who's going to be throwing me the ball. I don't know who it is." How can you build that rapport with your quarterback if you don't have a quarterback and they keep changing them out? I mean, that poor guy, he was one of the most talented players in the NFL, if not the most talented player. And he's got nobody to give him the ball. Even if they just put anybody back there and just throw the ball in his direction, would be better than what they have now.
Yeah, you're right.
They need some help. They need somebody. They need to make a really strong hire. I think Bidwell's got his work cut out for him. If they can't get somebody in there that's kind of a game changer, then it'll just be the same old for the Cardinals. Patrick Peterson's an exciting player, but he alone can't win games.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They fired their GM and Ken Wisenhunt, their head coach, today. You're right. There's a lot of problems that need to be solved in Arizona. Joe, I really appreciate your time today, man. I mean, it was a wonderful interview. I thought it was fun. Before I let you go, I know you're a co-founder of a mobile entertainment company called Viva Media. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and anything else you'd like to plug on the air?
Okay, cool. So when I was done playing football, I was living my life in a booth for a while. You kind of have to figure out who you are again, and you got to reinvent yourself. And I've got a background in computer science and communications. So me and a few former football players put a little fund together, and we went and acquired a company. And it was a software development company called Viva Vision. Been around for 12 years. I stepped in as the CEO, ran things for a while, and then I sold my interest off in that, and I started a new company. And I'm just an entrepreneur, man. I build software. I build social media applications. I sold applications to the various NFL teams. I was in talking with the Bears about one of the applications I have that kind of tracks social media for the teams, lets them know if their players are saying anything stupid. But my new company is called Jump It Media, and I'm working with a few of my former teammates. I've hired them on to step in and help me out, and basically we just build software.
Nice.
I'm a tech nerd now, Chris.
Hey, you gotta love it, man. It's the only way you could live now, it seems like.
Yeah, and the other thing is that I get to be my own boss. Nobody has control of my destiny anymore.
Hey, yeah.
That was the one thing I never liked, playing in the NFL. You never know where the hell you're going to be next week.
Yeah. Now you can control people's jobs.
Mainly my own.
Well, Joe, I really appreciate it, man. Is there anything else you'd like to plug on there?
No, that's it, man. Thanks a lot for the interview. I enjoyed it. Go Bears, go Seahawks. Hope the Cardinals can figure out what's going on. But looking forward to the playoffs and the Super Bowl this year.
All right, Joe, have a happy New Year, my friend.